Hello, I'm Brian DiCiano. Welcome back to the Red Napkin. Today I'm going to be talking about the Rob Roy and the Bobby Burns. So the Rob Roy, I'm going to just read a little excerpt here from Wikipedia. The Rob Roy is a cocktail created in 1894 by a bartender at the Waldorf Hotel in New York City. The drink was named in honor of the premiere of Rob Roy, an operetta by composer Reginald de Koven and lyricist Harry B. Smith, loosely based upon Scottish folk hero Robert Roy MacGregor. Robert Roy MacGregor, or Rob Roy, was basically the 18th century Scottish version of Robin Hood. And there was a movie made, maybe late 80s, early 90s. I could probably look it up right now, but anyways, it was back, quite a ways. I believe it was Liam Neeson that played Rob Roy in the movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Anyways, the Bobby Burns is basically a Rob Roy with the little addition of Benedictine. And just did a little bit of research, and I saw a few sites saying that you could use Drambuie instead, but I believe Benedictine was the original ingredient, and if you're going to use Drambuie, then it's a little more like a rusty nail or something, but I mean, Drambuie is a Scottish liqueur, so it seems to make a little more sense, but I think it is Benedictine that's the actual ingredient for the drink. And so I kind of like the Bobby Burns a little bit better than the Rob Roy for one particular reason. It has that little extra sweetness coming from the Benedictine. I just like that type of drink where it's very spirit driven. A little bit of extra sugar can really round out and make the drink more palatable. And as an aperitif type of cocktail, I'd probably go with something drier. But the Rob Roy being Scotch based and Bobby Burns of course being Scotch based has that kind of rich flavor, so I would consider it a little more of like a after dinner kind of drink. I don't know why. I just something with a really big robust kind of flavor is not really something you want to have before a meal. It's just my opinion. I don't know. So I don't know if I stated the Rob Roy is basically a Manhattan made with Scotch. That's kind of the only distinction between those. You can if you don't already know what a Rob Roy is, it's a Manhattan with Scotch instead of rye whiskey or bourbon. Rye whiskey being the original ingredient, but now it's commonly made with bourbon. Good both ways, but let's keep on topic here. So I'm gonna make this for you pretty quick. It's a stirred cocktail. Start off, the Scotch that you use will make a very significant impact on the final drink, more so than in Manhattan using rye or bourbon. Rye and bourbon, there's qualities, no matter which brand you use, will be very similar. There can be pretty drastic differences, but they're still very similar. With Scotch whiskeys, you have so many different styles. You have, the Highland Scotch whiskeys, you have the Lowland Scotch whiskeys, the Speyside, the Islas, the Islands. If you have the blended Scotch whiskeys and the single malt Scotch whiskeys and the malt blend Scotch whiskeys. So quite a few choices you have for this drink. More than the Manhattan. Today I'm going to be using some Black Grouse by the famous Grouse. It is basically the famous Grouse, but with more peaty, smoky malts in this blend. It is a blended Scotch, blend of, you know, malt whiskey and grain whiskeys. Gives this drink more of a, you know, robust, smoky, peaty flavor rather than using like a lowland or a Speyside, you know, something that'll be sweeter and more fruity style. And another thing I kind of noticed, I haven't had much success with using single malts in cocktails really at all. It seems like they're just not as friendly. I mean, even if you're going to use a friendly single malt, it's just the chemical makeup of the spirit or something just doesn't play well with other ingredients. As well as doesn't play with other ingredients as well as blended scotch does. So, I don't know. So we're gonna start off here with 1.5 ounces. As I stated before, I like my cocktails a little bit on the smaller side, especially a drink like this that's very spirit driven. We've got some Carpano Antica Ricetta, Antica Formula. One of the finest vermouths in the world, in my opinion. Very rich, robust, bittersweet, really great vermouth. Got 3/4 of an ounce there. We're just doing a simple 2-to-1 ratio for this. And I'm going to use a couple of different bitters in this. Classically, it would have been, you know, Angostura bitters. I've got today the Bitter Truth Jerry Thomas bitters. So I'll add a dash of these. And I also, in Scotch drinks, I like Peychaud's bitters. It adds a little more of that herbal quality, as well as some anise, which I think works well with the Scotch flavors. I'm just about out of these bitters, but because I've been making a lot of Sazeracs, and I'll be making a Sazerac video for you pretty soon. Final ingredient, defining factor which changes this from a Rob Roy to the Bobby Burns, we got Benedictine. Benedictine's pretty sweet, don't want to use too much. I'm just going to be using 1/4 of an ounce. That could even be a little bit too much for you. You could take that down and just use like 5 mils or like a dash. I mean, it depends on your palate. If you want this, you know, really dry or even more sweeter, you can, you know, adjust that to your palate. Add some ice on here. More. Give it a nice stir. Got some nice size, good solid ice cubes. You want some good solid cold ice cubes for your stirred cocktails, as well as pre-chilling the mixing glass, which really helps as well to get your cocktail cold quicker and to not over dilute it while you're stirring. So you just want to get it nicely mixed in there, chilled down to the appropriate temperature. Something a little bit sweeter that has a little sweetness could get even colder and still be good. You know, the temperature being colder will kind of mask the sweetness a little bit if it's, you know, a little bit too sweet. You'll find that that'll help. Do a little strain. And there we have the Bobby Burns cocktail. Garnish on here, lemon twist. And I was hoping that this Meyer lemon would work, but doesn't really seem to be working too well. That's alright though. Still got some nice aromatic qualities in the zest. Meyer lemons are, the zest skin on them is a little bit thinner. Well, quite a bit thinner actually. So I'll just trim this up briefly. Make it nice and pretty. Do a little twisting. Express some of those oils on there. On a rag napkin, the Bobby Burns cocktail. Enjoy it. And take care. Until next time.